What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Embroidery Hub. My name is Willie, and it should go without saying that cap embroidery is a great and easy way to increase your profits. In fact, you may have noticed that in most of my videos, I'm wearing an embroidery cap just like this one. Well, this one here. Now, over the years, manufacturers have been working hard to produce some hoops that are strong enough to withstand speeds of 800 to 1,000 stitches a minute and more. Now, that said, with more and more hoops being produced, how do you know which one works best for cap embroidery? To answer that question, I'm going to show you how to embroider a cap using 3 different hoops. The regular hoop that we use here, the 8-in-1 hoop, and the last one is going to be the Gen 2 hoop type. Now, if you guys are interested in purchasing any one of these, go down to the description below. But before we get started, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy our videos. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so now I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each of these hoops. For the Gen 2, it's great for thick caps and low on the brim embroidery, but it's not really useful for embroidering on the sides. Now, the 8-in-1 device is great for the back cap embroidery and the sides, but it doesn't really work for the front. Now, a regular hoop can do the front and the sides, but it cannot do the back, and it can't get as low to the brim as the Gen 2 could. Now, let's talk about the hooping speed. When it comes to the hooping speed, the Gen 2 is the fastest. The regular cap frame comes in the middle, and the 8-in-1 hoop will be the last, just because you need to make sure you're in the right location. Now let's talk about the price. Obviously, the regular one is the cheapest one because it comes with your machine and you're getting double per head depending on the machine that you get. The next one up would be our 8-in-1 device. Now this might be a little bit more expensive, but then again, this is not the only thing that you could do with this device. You have to remember that you're not only getting one frame, you're getting 8 different frames that you can use for any different type of garment. And the most expensive one is the Gen 2. Now you have to remember, this one does let you get as low to the brim and as high on the cap as you possibly can, but not only that, it's also the fastest process to get it hooped. And it has less room for error on the hooping process, making it easier for new embroiderers to use. Now let's go ahead and get started with our regular standard hoop. Now, a regular standard hoop, you get 2 of these when you purchase a machine, and if you buy a multi-head, then you get 2 per head. Now, these are pretty good all around, and they should be good to embroider on any cap you need to embroider on. Now, the best part about them is that when you combine them with one of our machines, you can embroider the front and the sides without having to re-hoop your cap. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today. Now, the cons of these hoops is that they're a little bit harder to hoop compared to the Gen 2. And you can't get as low to the brim of the cap as the Gen 2, and you can't embroider on the back either. Now, most of the videos that we've done in the past have been with these hoops, so that comes to show you that you can really just use them for anything. All right, so let's go into the hooping station and let's hoop this cap. All right, so the hooping process for the regular standard hoop is not as fast as the Gen 2, but it's definitely faster than the 8-in-1. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock it in and unstrap it. And now what I have to do is, since I'm doing a 270-degree angle, which is going to go from side to side in just one run without re-hooping it, I'm going to put this really long sheet of stabilizer. So we're going to get the cap and we're going to get the sweatband and completely bring it out all the way around. Okay, now we're going to put the bottom first and the top. While I'm putting it in, I'm making sure my sweatband is out and that my stabilizer doesn't come out of the hoop. Once I do so, I'm going to grab onto the cap and kind of like pull a little bit down just so I can get some extra hold on this area. And I'm going to get my strap, bring it all around. Gonna lock it in, make sure I'm centered, unlock it, and now we're gonna put it in the machine. All right, so now all we have to do is 4 easy steps. The first step is gonna be putting it in the machine, clipping it on and making sure that it's nice and tight in there. The next step is going to be going towards one side and adding the clips to make sure it's nice and straight. Now we're gonna go to the other side This is the next step, all the way to the other side, and do the same thing. Now, I previously did a video using the same technique, and it goes a little bit more in depth. If you guys want to see that video, scroll down to the description below. And the last step, we're going to go back to the front, and this time we're going to go to needle number 1, and we're going to make sure that we're right in the middle. And like always, let's go ahead and trace. Now, as you guys can see, I switched over to a different embroidery machine. This is the MT model, and the reason why I'm using this one is because it has that nice feature that I can go all the way for 270 degrees around the cap. All right, so all we're gonna do in here is embroider the front. Once the front is finished, then it's gonna go towards one side, and then after it's gonna go all the way to the other side. All of this without having to rehoop or take the cap out at all. All right, let's go ahead and press start. All right, guys, so that's it. This is pretty much done. As you can see, it did the side, then it went over and it did the other side. And all of that using the standard hoop. If you guys have used any of these hoops before, make sure you tell us in the comments below your experience and which one was your favorite. Also, if you guys have any ideas for any future episodes that you'd like us to do, go ahead and write them down in the comments below. All right, now let's go ahead and get into our 801 device. Now this one is good to embroider both the back and the sides of the cap. Next, they cannot embroider on the front of the cap, but in that case, you could just use the free rings that come with your machine. Now this isn't free like the regular cap hoop, but it does come with other frames, so it allows you to do a wide variety of different garments. Now I have done videos in the past using this 801 device with different hoops. If you guys want to check that out, scroll down to the description below. Now today, I'm going to be showing you embroidery on the back of the cap with the 801 device. So let me go ahead and show you that now. All right, so now I'm going to be using the 801 device. The first thing we have to do is just put it inside of the brackets and make sure it's locked in. Then the second thing we're going to do is grab the hoop and we're going to place it inside of the bracket. Now the next thing I'm going to do is grab my stabilizer. This is a sticky stabilizer. I'm just going to place it right on top, so you can grab onto the hoop. And the last thing is grab my hat and put it on the hoop. Now, what I am going to make sure is that I have it exactly where I need it. And lastly, I'm going to be using the clips to hold it in place. So now all we have to do is just align it to where you would want it. I'm going to go over to needle number 1 and I'm going to trace. All right, so let's go ahead and press the start button. All right, now all we have to do is get it out of the hoop. Now obviously you can make a bigger design. Just for video purposes, I did a quick and easy one, but you could definitely make a bigger design going from one corner around to the other corner. Okay, now let's go over the Gen 2. The pros are, it is the fastest when it comes to hooping, it is the easiest to use, and is great for beginners. and it allows you to get lower and higher on the cap when embroidering. Now for the cons, it is the most expensive. But if you're new to embroidery, it is going to make the process easier, so it is worth it. Now, the next con is that it cannot embroider on the sides or the back of the cap. Alright, so now let's get into hooping the Gen 2. The Gen 2 is very quick. All you have to do is place it on these two little knobs here. Going to unlock it. Gonna open it up, and then we're gonna put the cap inside. Alright, so what we're gonna do is grab the bottom and put the cap inside. And then we're gonna bring it up, kind of get it centered. And then before we close it up and lock it in completely, going to pull on it down. And the last thing will be locking it in. And that's it. Alright, so all I'm doing right now is centering it. Making sure I get it as slow as I possibly can. And I'm gonna trace. Alright, so now that I'm traced and it's as low as I possibly could get it, I'm gonna go ahead and press the start button. All right, so it's all done. Let's go ahead and get it off. You can tell it's very, very low to the brim. It was extremely easy to hoop it and extremely easy to unhoop it as well. So in conclusion, these three options are all great. It just depends on your situation. Now, if you're doing your standard cap embroidery and you want to embroider on the front and the sides of the cap without rehooping, then stick with your regular cap rings. If you're new to embroidering caps and are having a hard time with the hooping, then the Gen 2 is a great option. Also, if you want to get as low or as high as possible on the cap, then this is what you need. Lastly, if you want to embroider on the back of the cap, then the 8-in-1 is your only option. Again, you can check all of these out in the link in the description below. Alright guys, that's it for today's episode. If you like this episode, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Now before I go, I just want to remind you that you can connect with other apparel decorators like myself by joining our free Facebook group, Embroidery and Custom Apparel Mastery. If you guys want to get the latest information on the world of decorated apparel, make sure you follow us on our Instagram page at Ricoma HQ. Alright guys, that's it for this one. See you guys next time.